Pundit is the football trivia game, ideal for the football head in your life. Every sale of Pundit using the code LIONS at checkout earns you a 10% discount plus a donation for the Lions Food Hub. Visit punditgames.co.uk to order your copy or visit @punditgames on Twitter.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to Something for the Weekend with myself, Nick Hart, and my co-pilot. He's back from the bit of bout of illness last week. It's Mr. Neil Fissler. How you doing, Neil?
Yeah, well, the good news is, and the bad news for everyone else, I survived food poisoning. So,
I was going to say that, you know, it's funny online because you do get people reacting to shows, and I think a bit like Harry with yourself, Neil. People fall into two camps. You're either seen as the guru of all truth, or people hate what you're saying. You know, it's quite odd at times. It's a bit like Millwall, really, isn't it? It's been a bipolar week for the club, so. Just as doing these podcasts produced by Polar Reactions, so it is for the club itself. We've gone from the highs of last week at QPR to the lows of what I understand, because I didn't see it. It was a very drab loss at Coventry on Tuesday night. Did you watch it? Did you see the game?
I did.
Tuesday.
Unfortunately, it's an hour and a half of my life that I won't ever get back. I don't really understand the criticisms, to be honest. Yes, we were poor. Yes, we lost 1-0, but it was a pretty special goal. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've seen the YouTube clip. Yeah, good goal. Good player. Very good player.
Yeah, very, very good player. But it was their only real chance from what I can remember. And it was just a superb finish. We didn't look very good. We improved immensely once King Gary rung in the changes, but again, it was quite interesting. They were saying on commentary that before the build up to the goal, we were trying to get the ball out of play so we could make some changes, and we couldn't get the ball out of play because we couldn't get near it for a couple of minutes. And they smashed one in. It was unfortunate. Look, I think what you have to accept is that we're not going to win every game.
No.
We're 7th from top. What are we? 4-5 points off third place, something like that. Not very far off.
40 was this 48? Is it 46 points? We've got Watford in 6th on 47, and Luton in 4th on 50. So we're very much in the mix, and we do have still games in hand on clubs above.
2 games in hand, haven't we, on the teams above us?
Yeah.
So we're not 7th from bottom. We're 7th from top. I think that we need to manage our expectations slightly. We're going to lose games. Manchester City are bloody losing games this season, and they're a lot better than we'll ever be. So you've just
Arsenal 2-0. I mean, I watched the game in the week. The big game, so called, the Arsenal man. I mean, two great sides, but someone's got to win, someone's got to lose, and I think we all left QPR last week with a slightly inflated sense of our potential, because an honest review of the game at Loftus Roads, for me, said that we did give chances to Queen's Park Rangers, which, you know, you've mentioned Gielka as the goal scorer Tuesday, who's a quality turn, and QPR didn't have that, so they didn't score. So, you know, I think sometimes a bit of perspective is needed. It's never been something that's in much strong supply at the Den, is it? We're either world beaters or we're awful. I mean, people online are criticising players left, right, and centre. I think that these things go in phases. Fleming, for example, I saw him picking up some criticism, and Bradshaw getting criticism, and so on and so forth. I just think that, as you've said, you've got to remember we are sitting 7th, and we are still very much in the mix with 2 big games to come, tomorrow and Tuesday night. So, whether they're season-turning games or whether they're just 2 more fixtures, as Gary Rowett has said in his interviews, we won't be out of the picture, whatever happens over the next 7 days or so. So still much to play for this season. It's been a great performance to get here and be in this position, in my opinion, on a squad that's quite small.
Yeah, let's be honest. And that's dealing reality here. instead of
dreamland. Yeah.
Our tactics didn't help. We were whacking the ball up front to Tom Bradshaw against 2 6'2", 6'3" centre halves. You've got to be a little bit clever with it, I think. And we enjoyed our success when young Eze came on. And he looks a player, doesn't he? Every time I see him,
looks a prospect. Yeah.
He looks like he's got something about him. And we looked a lot better. Yeah. And it's unfortunate. They were hanging on by their fingernails. I know we've said for a few weeks, but our failure to get a striker in January, I think he's going to come back and he's going to haunt us, absolutely haunt us. Because I think if you had Gawks in our side, we'd be up where Sheffield United and Burnley are. To be honest, he is a top quality.
The money required for that, though, Neil, is I mean, I don't know how true it is. I mean, people talking about this guy Gyökeres or whatever his name is, being in the £20 million zone. I mean, I don't know. You don't know the strength of that, but that is the kind of level that shifts quality players, and we just can't.
1 year left on his contract, and they were speculating that he'll go in the summer. I saw, I saw some idiots, some of the experts were saying we ought to have put all of our money in one basket and gone out and signed somebody like him. We can't afford 10 million quid. Give your heads a wobble, honestly. Even Harry would have to draw the line.
Even Harry doesn't go down that. No, I mean, let's be realistic. We all know the limitations of the club. When your record signing is Zian Fleming, who I think is a very, very talented player, but he does have his good games and his less good games.
They all have it.
I've never seen him play.
But
I've never seen him play badly.
It's football.
Only 7 days ago, he was laying on a great assist for Duncan Watmore to lash into the net. So he's not playing badly. It's just the amount of influence, perhaps, that some people think that he should be having. But I don't get the idea that he's having a poor run of form. I just think it goes in fits and starts. I mean, he's also a big time player. We're going to have a big game tomorrow, Sheffield United at home. It's going to be hopefully a decent crowd there, although it's going out live on television. And we do seem to respond to those situations now. We are very much a home club, and we do respond to the big time, don't we? So
we've got.
I wouldn't say the season
this week, haven't we? Let's be honest. We've got Sheffield United, then we've got Burnley, haven't we? Probably 2 games you don't want back to back, but you might as well get them out of the way with, didn't you? I saw something where somebody said Zion Fleming is no Jed Wallace. He's not a patch on Jed. Christ almighty.
I know. It's weird. I don't get some people's mentality out there.
But they really do need to deal in reality, some of these people. You have a look at Millwall's history, and I was thinking about this last night. We're enjoying a purple patch at the minute. And at every period in Millwall history, we've had a couple of good seasons. We've had 2 or 3 good seasons. And then something will happen, and we're going to end up in League One in the next decade, aren't we? Let's be honest. Let's deal in reality, yeah? Something will...
It goes in that kind of cycle, doesn't it? Yeah, it goes in that kind of
cycle. You have good periods, bad periods. Then we'll come good again. It's just the way that Millwall are. We are not a big club. Let's be honest.
No, I'd agree with that.
But we're building. That's the most important thing. We're better than we were last year. We've got better quality.
I mean, for us to be consistently at this level, I mean, you and me have done a few shows, history shows and whatnot over the time, and as you say, you're right. I mean, we're basically a third division, shall we call it in old terms, to second division shuttle side, with the odd, pristine moment when we got promoted back in 1988. Apart from that, it's been largely second and third tier football for us. But for us to be consistently, as Gary Rowett has achieved in these last few years, I think there's one season where we finished lower, but top 10 is an amazing finish by Millwall standards historically in the second division. It's just, it's a rarity. So I think what happens is the FIFA generation get used to success and demand more. And, the prime aim of the club's management has to be to survive, to continue the club, and there's always that outside chance of a better season to come, and we're not out of this one by any stretch yet.
No,
but I just think people need perspective.
We're competing against clubs that are picking up 40 million quid a year in parachute payments.
Absolutely.
Payments, whatever they call them these days. So we're fishing, us and Luton, we're fishing in a very, very big pond, aren't we? Where there are some sharks, and I don't agree with
absolutely
payments, to be quite honest. I don't think it's a level playing field, but it is what it is. We've just got to enjoy it.
It may change. We can't change it right now. It will remain for, well, who knows if it will change at all, but certainly it's not going to change for a couple of seasons. The parachute arrangements will continue for a while yet. That's just how it is. I mean, when you look at the teams we're up against, I mean, Millwall 7th at the moment, Watford, Sunderland are a major club. I mean, I don't care what, I know they've had some bad years, but I mean, any team that plays in a capacity of 40, 50,000 stadium and brings thousands is a big club, in my opinion. Sunderland, and then Luton, which is the one standout like ourselves. Apart from that, Middlesbrough, Sheffield and Burnley are all major sides with varying degrees of parachute money, which does give them a great advantage. And we're trying to, and we are competing. I say again, there was 7th.
Yeah, you've got Norwich, you've got Bromwich Albion that went out.
West Brom below us at the moment. Whether it'll finish that way at the end of the season, I don't know. But, we're outperforming them at the moment. And I think it's a massive tribute to the strength of the squad. And we all criticise Gary Rowett. And I think I was reading substitutions on Tuesday night, and we've all been there when you think, well, why didn't he do this? Why did he do that? But you've got to look at the man's overall track record, and some might not like the football, but we've never been Barcelona nil, have we? We've got to play to the strengths that we have. And unless we're going to home produce a major level striker, which isn't easy, we're probably not going to have the money to buy it in. So we've got to make do with what we can buy and what we can produce for our own academy and development systems.
I think in 20, 30, 40 years' time, you'll look back upon Gary Rowett. But I don't think you and I will be alive.
There'll be two other older level podcasters talking to each other. We'll be gone by that stage. We'll be fertilizer somewhere.
but you'll actually look upon Gary Rowett's reign at Millwall very positively.
I believe so. Yeah,
he will be remembered as one of the better Millwall managers. I hate the word great. I hate the word legendary. But he will be remembered as a very, very good manager for this football club. Yes, we get frustrated. I totally agree. But there's an element of our support that want him to fail and they want us to fail, just so they can go onto social media and Hoff and Facebook.
Yeah.
You all know the type of people. They've generally got Millwall or even MFC as a middle name, a pronoun or whatever on social media. But they just want us to follow, so they can come on and gleefully tell everybody, "I told you so." No, just enjoy the moment. Just enjoy this season, and what'll be will be. Yeah,
Will be, will be. I think it's like I was saying this. We did a listed lion conversation with Mike in the week. We were talking about the Millwall tendency to criticise our own players. I don't know if other clubs are on the same scale as we seem to be, but I think it's part of the DNA of the club that we have to dig out our own. If we're not our own players or manager or whatever the case may be. And I think you're right. Some people do seem to have a need for us to be slightly useless, failing, and not on the right road. And any other club, I think, in our division below us would give their right arm for our position and the very solid way that we're run. I mean, we've mentioned John Berylson many a time, but he sets the tone for the whole club. There's always bits and pieces you can dig the club out about, but I mean, overall, we're pretty well run. We're in a pretty stable position, and you get every sense that the club is here on sound footing for some while yet to come. So that's quite an achievement.
One of the biggest myths at Millwall, I think, at the moment is that if you try and you give everything, you'll be appreciated. Yeah, we always mention that, don't we? As long as you try hard, the crowd can
give everything. Yeah,
in everything.
Yeah,
you'll be appreciated. But it's a myth. Tom Bradshaw, yeah, untold amounts of criticism this week for not scoring, for the game plan being wrong, but he runs his nuts off every single game. Is there ever a game where you can criticise Tom Bradshaw's work rate?
Well, not for effort, no. Someone posted in the week. I think someone replied back, and I don't know who it is, so I apologise if you're listening to the show because I'm going to paraphrase what you said, and I can't credit whoever it was. I thought it was a really good point that Tom Bradshaw, when he signed for us, which was under Neil Harris back in 2018-ish, 2017, 18, sometime around then, was signed as a finisher, but with alongside the traditional big man, little man. So effectively, he was coming in as Lee Gregory 2.0, wasn't he? You know, where you have a Steve Morrison, or you have I don't know, Paul Moody leaps into my head, but you know what I mean. The big striker with the smaller finisher that gets the knockdowns and the flick offs and the layoffs, blah blah blah. And that's what he was signed as. Neil. Now he got injured and was out of the game for a while. But since he's come back, we for reasons that do defeat me, and I've just praised Gary Rowett, so I'm going to criticise him now. But I don't sometimes understand our long ball tactics of hitting long balls at Tom Bradshaw, who will give you everything and will try his 100% on everything. But he's not a big man, he's not a tall man, and he's up against players that are physically larger. So he's not being employed. This is the basic point: is he's there as a Lee Gregory, not as a Steve Morrison, and we're using him in Steve Morrison mode as almost sole battering ram striker, which I think is a bit unfair on his game because that's not his game at all.
Yeah, we haven't got that striker. That striker left last year. That striker was Matt Smith.
Yes.
18, but a Vogel slammer. Yeah, the BFG. Yeah. Written off as being shit. Yeah. But well, this is a guy that was signed as a striker and we're playing as a winger.
Achtung, Millwall.
I mean, team for tomorrow. I mean, I didn't see the Tuesday game, listeners. I've said that a few times now, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm getting the sense that it was a bit of a tired performance on Tuesday night. I'm just wondering whether we'll start with Bradshaw up front tomorrow, whether he'll make changes. Whether I've seen people calling for Burke to start in the striking role. I don't know. Whether Vogelsammer would start up front, I don't know. I thought last week we looked a little bit creaky in defence at times. Now we are carrying injuries there. Now we've obviously got a big loss in Sean Hutchinson, but we've also lost Callum Stiles, who is starting to look the part, in my opinion. Both of those are out for probably the bulk of the effective season now. So we will look a little bit creaky at times, but I just wonder whether he'll liven it up front, whether Bradshaw will be rested. A lot of people calling for Bradshaw to be put on the bench and maybe someone else to start in his place. How do you see it?
Yeah, to be honest, I think that you have a look at it, and Cresswell has come in and he's done all right for somebody else.
Yeah, no,
being shit.
Yeah,
and somebody that people wanted out in January, that they couldn't wait for Leeds to recall him, and They were wetting their knickers when he was linked with Norwich and somebody else, and he's had to be patient. But yeah, we are going to creak. Yeah, some of it, I think, is the goalkeeper. He dug us out of a hole.
Yeah.
But he gets criticised a lot. He doesn't fill me with tremendous confidence all the time. But then again,
not shot stopping. No,
yeah.
no.
But then again, you have a look, and I don't think David Ford filled us with confidence, and he's one of our better goalkeepers in recent years, isn't he? And a great guy. But I think we do need to make some changes tomorrow, but we're limited as to what the changes can be. Is Burke a striker or is he a winger? I think, but to my mind, he
don't know. I mean, the way you went through the QPR defence last week, I thought we'd found the new Lionel Messi, and then he put it wide, and we've got the new Lionel Blair. Because I don't know whether he is a striker, whether he's attacking midfield. I don't know what. These are just knee-jerk calls, I think, to change things. I would imagine, and I don't know, that with 2 big games in succession, that you're going to need to at least rotate certain positions. Tom Bradshaw gives so much up front, and has not long come off the pitch really at Coventry to start again with his game of maximum effort. So whether we will see a change tomorrow, I don't know. SA has been the boy that the Twitter audience are calling for, and I've really liked the look of him every time I've seen him.
Yeah, do you throw
but I'm a bit wary of Tyler Bury syndrome, where talented boys come in, don't get it right in one game, then suddenly they get written off as
being shit,
having a bad attitude or whatever, being shit.
Give us look at this in some kind of prospective way. I doubt he's had an hour's football. He came on for 15 minutes the other night.
Yep.
Is Gary Rowett the type of manager that will try or put an untested 17-year-old into a game against one of the top 2?
Yeah, it would be a gamble. I don't see it personally, but it would be nice to. No, it would be nice to see him involved at some stage, as he has been. But whether he would start or not,
I think
you're right. The scale of the opportunity is big, isn't it?
I think he will be involved at some stage, but I can't see him starting. It's an awfully big leap. A 16, 17-year-old to go from playing at most 15 minutes to starting. I would have thought that
it's a big ask, as they say. Big ask. Yeah, I agree.
Major ask, and I just can't see it. What would I do? I'd probably start the German up front, to be honest, and play Burke out wide.
With Bradshaw on the bench.
Yeah, Bradshaw on the bench. I don't think that we've got 3 games in the next week, haven't we? I forget who we've got next Saturday. We're away somewhere.
We've got Stoke away next week. It's actually a big series of games. Obviously, Sheffield tomorrow, Burnley midweek. Then we're away at Stoke, and I think, if memory serves, we've got Norwich after that. I think someone will have to correct me, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, we're not
going to check that.
They're going to be easy, are they? Let's be honest about.
No. Well, we've got 30 games, so we've got 16 games to go. So we are, repeat the basic point we've made, Neil, you and I, over and over. We are within 16 games of a shot at the big time. And it's an incredible achievement, but the work really has to continue. I think that was the main takeaway that I took from that result on Tuesday, that you can't switch off for a moment. And, yes, it is a high pressure run-in, but the stakes are so high now. The potential for the club and for the players, the potential rewards are so huge that, yes, pressure will get hotter and hotter and hotter, to mix my metaphors. I'm just looking at my notes here, Neil. I've written down who's our next scapegoat. We won't flog the point. We've already mentioned the end of Fleming, Vogel, Sammer, and Tyler Bureau. I'll put who's next. I wonder who's our next. Maybe Roman Esse will be our next scapegoat. I don't know. We seem to have a need of scapegoatism at the Den for some reason. Anyway, I won't dwell on that.
Yeah, no. Well, Murray Wallace seems to get it to a certain extent. Scott Malone, if he comes in and Yeah, 15 out of 10 in his first game back. George Long could be almost anyone, really, couldn't it? I think exempt from cricket.
Maybe we should have
Appear to be Billy Mitchell. Seems to be exempt from it. Danny Mack.
Well, I even saw people slagging off Saville and Mitchell, saying time to replace them. I don't know. I mean, people just are reactive, aren't they?
Yeah, but Duncan Watmore's had 2 good games. If he isn't mad
on it, yeah.
tomorrow, it's going to be Duncan Watmore, isn't it? Sorry, Duncan.
We'll nominate Dunks. We'll make Dunks as our next favourite. He's a forward, so he's always going to be flaky at the best of times. So he's probably next in line for that. A few bits and pieces, but just want to shout out to Merv, who always comes up with interesting content. He makes the very good point, Neil, that on this day, this was 3 days ago, so on these 3 days ago, in 1988, Millwall began a 12-match unbeaten run on the way to the second division title, and he had some video clips. This ancient 1980s video of a 3-2 win at Reading, a goal by Terry Hurlock. Legend has it, he says, that a Lions player called an impromptu team talk on the coach before the match. This is a 3-2 win at Reading because the promotion push at that stage had hit the buffers. I can only imagine there's been one of the leading personalities of the side that would have had the depth. I didn't see the answer to who it was. So I'm going to guess Terry Hurlock, but I could be wrong. Who would you speculate would have called a team talk on the coach going up to Reading after a promotion push stalling? I would think Hurlock would be my choice.
Yeah, potentially. I'm just trying to stall for time myself here, actually, and
you're looking for the answer. That's what you're doing. You're looking for the answer. It's going to be either Hurlock.
I'm looking to see who was in the side that day. Hurlock. It's got to be. It would be either Hurlock or Briley, I should imagine.
Hurlock or Briley.
The team was the team that day was Brian Horn. You have Dennis Salmon, potentially Nicky Coleman, Keith Stephen, Steve Wood. He wasn't backwards in coming forward, was he? Macca, Terry Hurlock, Les Briley, Teddy Sheringham, greatest striker in the history of the club. Tony Mascherino, Kevin O'Callaghan. I tell you what, I'm going to do. I'm gonna text Brian Horn at some point, and I'm going to ask.
We'll find out the answer to the question. My money's on Hurlock as an uncompromising impromptu.
He scored our first goal. Sheringham got the other 2. Mickey Tate and Martin Hicks were on target for Reading.
Because Hurlock was an ex-Reading player, wasn't he? He played for them in their promotion season. Had an exceptional winning start.
Yeah,
I think it was a 3rd division season, and Hurlock was very much part of that, as he'd been for Brentford before making his move to Millwall.
Steve Francis, Colin Bailey, Mickey Gilks, who had a spell at Millwall.
Stuart came on to Millwall, didn't he?
Yep, Stuart Bevan, his dad Cyril played for Reading, for Oxford. David Madden was the substitute. Martin Hicks, Keith Curl, manager these days.
Yeah, he is.
Williams, Tate, Billy Whitehurst, who was an absolute animal, wasn't he? An absolute head case, Billy Whitehurst. Steve Moran, very good striker, and Neil Smiley. So 3-2.
Good players in there.
6,000.
3-2 win at Elm Park. Yeah.
48. At Elm Park on Saturday, February the 13th, 1988.
I think the reason that Merv has posted this, I'm going to read into it, Merv, you may not have had this as your reason, but I'm reading this into it, is that promotion pushes aren't smooth things. So, we've won well last week at QPR, and then we've gone and played fairly poorly at Coventry. But this game here began a sequence of results where people needed firing up. Clearly, there's been a team talk, shall we call it, on the coach going up there. Maybe 1 or 2 home truths get told, and people need to hear it as it is. And the classic season 87-88 wasn't apparent for a long while that we were going to get promoted. Believe me, as anyone, Neil, you remember it. Anyone that lived through it. It wasn't apparent. It wasn't a done deal for a long, long while. So, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. I think that's probably the best way to
we hovered.
to leave it.
I know. Yeah, we hovered around. Yeah, almost anywhere between 4th and 9th, didn't we? For
Absolutely, we
fourth
did. Yeah,
lot of the season, and then we kind of clicked into place and went into some kind of overdrive, I think, for the want of a better word, didn't we?
we did. I mean, we had a quality front line. I mean, Cascarino and Sheringham. I mean, blimey. But we still got to serve them, and you could still lose a game. And it wasn't the done deal. That hindsight is crystal clear, isn't it? And now we all know how it worked out. But as somebody that lived through those games game by game, it certainly wasn't apparent that we were going to get promoted for pretty much up until the final few matches of the season. Really, it wasn't done at all. So we've got to take a bit of heart from that. I feel there's a great post and great video from Merv. He's dug into the archives there. It's fuzzy, the colours are luminous, and the pitch is muddy. It's old school football, but it's well worth finding. If you look on Merv's Merv Payne Twitter feed, you'll find it on there. Great find by Merv. Moving us along, Neil. Tomorrow is the Jimmy Mizzen Day. Just to give a shout out, to the Mizzen Foundation, Margaret and Barry, obviously beloved of the club. But there will be bucket collectors out tomorrow. So give generously. They do some fantastic work. They go into schools. I follow Margaret on Twitter, and she's always up and down the country doing school visits, talking about obviously the knife crime and ways of containing situations and all sorts of stuff like that. They do fantastic work. So do give generously. You'll see the cash buckets out around the den tomorrow. So I shall certainly be contributing. I just think they do fantastic work, Neil.
Mate, Margaret and Barry Mizzen are an absolute inspiration to our club and our supporters. You can't imagine what they went through when
the loss. No.
Jimmy was stabbed to death. But to turn that into something positive and a positive change. There's so much negativity. We've been talking about it, haven't we? So there's so much negativity in this world, but to then set out, I know they're very strong Christian beliefs, haven't they, in the family?
They've got that very strong faith, and I envy them that in a way, because I've never.
They've used that faith. They've harnessed that faith, haven't they? To go out and to do so much good, and it's great that Millwall have embraced the Mizzen Foundation. That we do give a game a season over, and it was always a good thing when you saw Barry come on the pitch and he gives his little speech and rouses everybody up, and just the positivity that comes out from them. I still probably be feeling sorry for myself, and I certainly wouldn't be able to do what they've done, and that's to work for the greater good, and it's just absolutely
try and change the world in some way. I mean, it's a big task, but if you don't try, then nothing happens. So, no, I take my hat off. I've had the pleasure of meeting both Barry and Margaret over time. Not recently, but a few years ago, we used to. They used to make they had a shop unit, like a cafe. It was called in Hither Green, I think. And we used to. When it was closed, we used to borrow the shop to record some of the early editions of AchtungMillwallachtungmillwall when we started doing it. It was before the era of Zoom calls and StreamYard as we use now, much more easy to do. But so I had the pleasure of meeting both Barry and Margaret, and they are inspirational figures. I think it's almost awesome, I think the true sense of the word, when somebody uses their religious faith to try and bounce back from something. I don't know if you do bounce back, I don't know, but there is something quite amazing about them using this awful tragic event in their lives. So no, I take my hat off to them. So as I say, it's Jimmy's Day tomorrow, listeners. Buckets will be out. Throw a tenner in now, throw a fiver, whatever you got, really, if you can afford it. It goes to a great cause, and they do great stuff.
And we're a club that does give very well to charity. I know the Lions Food Hub, which I think, we could, if you've got Arthur Brain Nick, you'll be able to use this as a link, because I know it's on your agenda. We give so generously, and to give generously again tomorrow in a.
We do as a club. I think, I mean, I see it going on everywhere. You follow other clubs and they do stuff as well, but this is a Millwall show, so we're concerned with our own efforts on this. And
Sheffield,
we've meant
they've actually, I do believe that they've actually tweeted and put something out that bucket collectors are out and they're trying to get behind it. So fair play to them as well.
Yeah, no, they're a proper club, Sheffield. A lot of time, it's always an enjoyable ground to go and visit, Bramall Lane, and they're a club that I've got time for. They're still in touch with who they are, if that makes sense, listeners. But yeah, the Lions Food Hub have posted that they're looking for donations. They're always looking for donations. It's a constant thing. I think they do fantastic work, Kelly and her team that she has at the Lions Food Hub. We're very proud to donate our takings. We get money for the adverts that you have to listen to for this show, and we give it over to the Food Hub because I can't think of a better use for our money, really, Neil. But they're looking if anyone can bring stuff in. I mean, money's always nice, of course. They have a collection tin at their spot, which is down at the Coldblow Lane End by the Blue Bus. There's a small kind of, not quite a container, metal site kind of building. They're looking for tinned soup, butter, beans, kidney beans, hot dogs, mayonnaise, washing powder, toothpaste, shampoos, gels, packs of rice or anything of that kind. So if you are able to bring anything in, then that will be very gratefully received. It may be easier just to put a £5 or a £10 or a 20 if you got it into their collection things. It gets used very, very well. And I do know that Kelly works with a lot of the local supermarkets. I want to mention Asda on the Old Kent Road, as she posts regularly, have made donations, stuff they can give away. And she's got a good relationship going with them. They do a lot of work on that front. So, fantastic initiative, Lions Food Hub, based at the Coldblow Lane End on match days, and any support that people can give is gratefully received. And you can support them by just listening to Neil and I and all the other shows waffling away about Millwall, because everything that we generate gets donated to them. I think that's a good way to run a podcast, Neil, don't you?
Absolutely, mate. To be honest, it's part of the reason why we sit here on a Friday morning for an hour, isn't it? And so much time to doing listed Lions, and I know we do his.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I mean, I won't. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. But it's
Podfather, don't you?
I think it.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's I just you get to meet so many different people. You get to talk to so many people. You cover so many different subjects, one way and the other. Some people like it, some people don't like it. That's fair enough. But I personally enjoy doing what we do on this show. I enjoy talking to everyone that I get to talk to, and it's just it's a hobby that you can make into something that does some good, and I think that's a great combination.
It's a great way of putting back in. So we don't take anything for these podcasts. I wouldn't want anything anyway. We do it as a bit of fun, don't we, to show off our knowledge, things like
well, Neil does anyway.
The lack of knowledge in my case.
Lack of knowledge sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Upon who you listen to on Twitter.
Shout out to Millwall boxer Chris Bourke, who I think is fighting tonight. Neil, you said? I thought it was tomorrow night, but he's weighed in for his bout. I think this is at the York Hall by the look of the scene there. He's weighed in with his Millwall shirt on. Chris Bourke, big shout out to you, mate. And I think that's on the BT boxing show tonight.
Yeah,
Friday night.
BT Sport, yep. I'll be tuning in. Good fighter, Chris Bourke. Yeah. Always good to see one of our own. Well, we will stay as Millwall, unlike Richard Riakpor's, pictured in a Millwall shirt and then migrated to Crystal Palace for some unknown.
He changed.
Brockwell is actually known as Millwall Richard on Twitter, and the picture of him in a Millwall shirt has been sent to him many, many times, including by myself.
I don't know, if you're not really interested in football, and that betrays to anyone that knows football, that you're not really a fan of either club, actually, probably not even interested in football at this level, possibly. Don't bother with it. Just present yourself as a boxer. That's fine. You don't have to have this parallel or identity or something. I don't know. I suppose it's all about marketing and putting bums on seats now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good way of tapping into fans. I know Lee Wood, who's fighting tomorrow night, big Notts Forest fan, and actually has been into Notts Forest forever. A guy called Haney, very, very big Stoke City following. Back in the day, Robert McCracken. And Zulu Warriors from Birmingham City following him. So there seems to be some kind of
linkage. Yeah. No, it's a marketing ploy, and if it sells tickets, then all well and good. But no, big shout out to Chris Bourke. I've met him. He was training out. I don't know if he still trains out at the Peacock Gym, which is down at Canning Town, so not terribly far from where I live. And it was one summertime, in the heat of the summer, I went round to meet him, did a little interview with him. Lovely bloke, really nice guy. So I want to wish him all the best. Couple last points. I'm going to give a shout out to Neil Bomber Harris, who's pictured at Pitsy and Bowers, under 18s, coaching. Gillingham manager these days, of course, but there he is in the picture, cuddling up with one of the coaches there, a guy called Kevin. And he's wearing his Millwall gilet now. Some habits die hard, don't they? He's still got his Millwall gilet, even though he's in an Essex football stadium, no longer managing the club.
Yeah, but that will just give more credence to those that want Neil Harris back in at any costs. No, fair play to him. He's obviously a bit cold, and Millwall do a better.
But his Gillette.
Yeah, when Millwall do a better class of Gillette than anybody else. So yeah, we could do with that. Yeah, but I put my head outside the door earlier on, and it was a bit cold. I could have done with a Millwall Gillette.
The last point, we're going to mention the TV deal, Neil, so we'll mention that. But before we do, just give a quick shout out after tomorrow's game, which is, of course, is a 12:30 start. But if you fancy even more football on the back of watching the Lions hopefully prevail over Sheffield United, Fisher FC are playing Punjab United at Salter Road. That's a 3:00 kickoff. If you've got a membership card, season ticket card, show them that at the gate. You can get in for just a £5. Nice little setup around at St Paul's. The bar there is it's functional but good. Some good beers in there, and they could do with the support. So Fisher versus Punjab United. It's a 3:00 kickoff at St Paul's, and you should be able to make it if you walk very quickly from the Den. Get a bus round to Rotherhithe for that game if you fancy it. Fisher versus Punjab. Neil, you wanted to mention there's a TV deal. I haven't done any research on this at all, so help me out. This is the revamped Sky deal, I take it, for the future years?
Yeah, they're talking about, I think it's just gone out to tender, and they're talking about OTT television, which basically, from what I can gather, it'll be like on demand. So they're trying
to Max and Carl. That's OTT television. When you pay you pay your £10 and watch the game direct from the club rather than via a channel.
Yeah, but they're talking about the Netflix of football. They're trying to get Apple TV involved, somebody like that. So there's a good chance that they're trying to leave Sky behind, I think. So it looks good. I think there's a huge disparity in how many times teams are shown. Tomorrow's unusual for us. I think it's probably only the third or fourth time it's unusual that we've actually been shown twice in a week. We were shown on.
We've got another one at the end of the month. We've got Luton away, which always seems to get on the Sky. We're not favoured. We're not televisual, are we, Neil? You know,
It would just be good from that point of view that if they're going to, I think they're going to look to show every championship game on television. Certainly have it on demand, a bit like the Zone, where they'll show something and it will just be left up there for you to call up and watch it at your convenience. So I think it's a good thing. It should certainly bring some more money in, which I think is more important, especially if we stay in this division. We need to pay for better players and things like that.
Yeah, I've just found a report here. This is a website called sportspromedia.com. Is that like a specialist website for the broadcast world, I guess? But this report, this is dated November 2022, so this will be coming to fruition or variations of it soon. Anyway, Viaplay is a Norwegian company eyeing EFL broadcast rights in the UK. EFL targeting £200 million UK GBP per season from 2024-25 on a pay-per-view basis. So it'll be similar, I'm guessing similar to you get it with the American sports. I subscribe to the baseball channel, so you can watch basically for a flat fee. You get to watch all of any game really that's showing live or high. You know, you can watch the entire thing, or they have various highlight packages on there. And I imagine it's going to be something similar to that. And that's the way of the modern world. I know the NFL do it, and I think the NBA do it. Certainly, Major League Baseball does it, and I'd imagine the hockey and so on. It's the way the world is going, Neil, and I can see there's a demand to watch games 3 p.m. Saturday. I think that's going to be the sacred cow that does finally go soon. Some will say wrongly, others will say acknowledge what's reality already, really, because you know there's a demand to watch and there's money willing to be paid for these products. So I think it's going to be very hard for football to resist when there's sums of money. If that 200 mil per annum comes to pass, then that's going to do the talking, isn't it? Ultimately.
Yeah, no, I know you mentioned Viaplay. They're Swedish, Norwegian. They bought Premier Sports, so they're quite active. You mentioned the NBA and Major League Baseball. I actually think that the MLS has signed a 10-year deal with Apple TV. So not just now the likes of Sky. Sky have been blown out of the water by the likes of Apple. There's talks of Netflix getting involved in football. You've obviously got Amazon Prime, Zone. So you've got various apps. It wouldn't actually surprise me if the Premier League actually decided to go alone eventually.
The rewards must be very, very high. I mean, I'm just reading about this. I hadn't heard of Viaplay at all, Neil, but they're a name well known. They've got the Spanish La Liga, Scottish football, Rugby Union, United Rugby Championships, and the French Top 14 Rugby Union Championships, and the National Hockey League in the US. So they're major players already. So it's not like they're just coming in from nowhere. So I can see whether there's still a variation with somebody else, but you can see how the world is moving down that kind of pay direct route. And personally, I can see how it would dent away travel. Away games might get dented, but to be honest, I think if you want to go to football, you can't beat being at the game, Neil. You can't. There's no second. It's a second best to watch it on TV for me. If you can't be there, then watch it on the telly. But I would always want to be there personally. But that might be an old dinosaur talking. I don't know.
I have noticed a drop off in away attendances and over recent years. I know it's a constant discussion on Hoff. How many don't take to games, and I think that since COVID. I think COVID got a lot of people out of the habit of going to away games, didn't it?
And I haven't been to many. I will be honest with listeners. I mean, I was at Queen's Park Range, but that's not a big deal. It's just an underground ride. I just haven't, for various reasons. I mean, health comes into it, but I just haven't done it. And I suppose you're right. I think part of my life's routine is to go to Millwall when they're at home. I can't see that ever shaking. I'll probably pick and choose which away games I go to. If I can watch it on the TV without lugging up to the other end of the country, I probably will do. And I think there's quite a few that will take that. Whether that's right or wrong is unimportant, because if you're prepared to pay a tenner to watch it, the club will make money out of that. And that's really all that I care about, ultimately. As long as Millwall benefit from it, then bring it on, I say. Some will call that short-sighted, but not for me,
Yeah, we are getting on a bit in age, I must admit.
You speak for yourself, you old git.
Yeah, well, I used to love going to games and various northern outlets, but people's life changes, doesn't it? And people,
I think it costs a lot, Neil. I mean, I was looking at going to Stoke. It's not something you can do particularly cheaply, and it's not all. Sometimes you got to weigh up the benefit versus the amount it's going to cost you. So
there's also so many strikes going on at the minute, so sometimes you can't get to these places because they're on bloody strike.
Yeah, the travelling has not been. I don't know. You can throw a load of factors, some of which will be personal, some of which will be things beyond your control. But I can see the demand. There is a demand there to watch and stream your club, Millwall in our case, and I can see it being reasonably popular. I don't know what kind of numbers the club get for their streaming services. It'd be interesting to know, actually. But it's I'd sooner be putting money into the pockets of Millwall Football Club than using dodgy, illicit streams, personally. We'll see. We'll let that story unfold. I think we've reached the end of a very scant agenda that I've done very well there, Neil, because I produced nothing for you to talk about this week. Yet somehow we've made it through to 50-odd minutes, and I think that's quite a tribute to Millwall's answer to the two Ronnies, you and me.
To talk absolute bollocks for nearly an hour. I'm sorry if I did this with kids.
But we've run out of petrol finally on the away trip there. Anyway, there we are. Big thank you, Neil Fissler. Thank you for joining me this Friday morning, mate. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, mate. And it's good to still be in touch with everyone. And we look forward to we look forward to the comments, Zion Fleming wise or otherwise.
A big thank you to you too, dear listeners, for tuning into these shows. We'll be back over the weekend. Going to go football tomorrow. We'll have a game match report show after that, possibly on Sunday, I'd guess. And otherwise, Neil and I will be, God willing, returning back next Friday for another something for the weekend and another review of the Millwall event. So until next week, from Neil, it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from me. Till the next show. Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.